Okay, we're back. This is the actual toe of the toe jack, and I mentioned last time that I was looking for a way to roughen this surface a little bit to give a little grip underneath, when it's on the machine or when it's lifting a machine or whatever object they happen to be lifting. So this is a smooth coal roll, which when it gets a little bit of oil on it is pretty slippery. It's actually a pretty good bearing surface. So what I decided to do is I had some little jig rest buttons that had teeth on them, and I started thinking about putting those in, but I only had 2 of them. So what I'm going to do is, these are standard cup point set screws here, and anybody that's played around with these knows that these are pretty hard. Also, people know that the cup of the cup point actually can really bite into steel and other materials. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill and tap a series of holes here, and I'm going to insert these set screws in there with the cup point facing up, and that's going to be my grip surface, is the cup of each one of these. So I'm going to do a little array of these here, and they'll be poking up, and it'll form a little foot with some kind of high points that are sharp and hard, durable. So yeah, it's kind of the bowling pin layout there, I think, is what I'm going to do. I suppose I could do it the other way. I think I want the most holes towards the front, and I don't want to weaken it too much by drilling a row of holes across here. That's one negative to this method, but we're going to try it and see how it works, and test it out. So I'm going to poke some holes here in this deal, and tap them. So this is a 3/8/16 tap, and I'm tapping it about 500 RPM. Okay. Okay. All right, let me grab an Allen wrench. So I can make those protrude as much as I want there, but that's probably all I'm going to use right there. That much sticking up. And you know, if they wear out or whatever, they're replaceable. Something like that. Anyway, that doesn't look too bad. So we're gonna try that, and then this gets welded on. The chamfer the other side, but you don't need to see that. And we'll go on to the next part. All right, here's a little one here. We got to make some little round end links, so they get a hole through, and then the end gets fully rounded around like that. And can you see that? Yeah. So what I want to do is I don't want to machine that radius. I'm just going to belt sand it, but I want it to look good. So what I want to do is I want to lay it out with a pair of dividers. But what I'm going to do here is I just have a little point in here. Instead of laying it out, I've already got the mill all zeroed. I'm just going to put a little punch mark in there with that, and then lower the table a little bit. If I can get in here like that, and then go ahead and scribe that. You know, that's not very. You can still see it there. I couldn't get the dividers in there. So I'm just, oops, wrong side there, wizard. Anyway, it's just a cheapo way of doing a center punch mark. Since I already have the mill. Make sure that's the. Oop. Yeah, almost screwed up there. That's the machined end. All right. 1.25. Go down. Something like that. Let's just take it out and do it. You see that? Not a very good center punch mark. The shape of the tip of the my little pointer is not optimal for the not optimal for this. It's starting to piss me off, to tell you the truth. You know what? We're gonna go get the right thing. Alright, well, I got a good mark there now. Alright, let's try that. Oh yeah. Much better. Do that one too. It just needs to look, oops, god dang it. Alright. Okay, now we're going to drill those guys. Alright, so actually you guys probably, I don't think I've shot any video of my collet closer on the lathe. I changed it over the other day to do something. And it's just a 5C closer. A lot of you guys have probably seen these. It's a handy addition to any lathe. And So what we're doing here is we're making making one pin, and we're drilling and tapping in the end of the pin, 1032. This is a 10 millimeter rod, 3/8 diameter rod, and we're going to tap into the end. So one thing, let's get this big old thing up there. So we got the drill chuck here, and a lot of times on small drills like this, and I got this big Jacob's chuck on here, I don't even bother using the chuck key. I just grab the ring by hand and use it kind of like a keyless chuck, and crank it down a little bit. You know, saves hunting down the chuck key sometimes, especially for small drills. But I'm not going to be pushing that hard on. Back that up. Okay, that's it. All right, so we're going to tap the ends, and what I'm going to do here is I put the 1032 tap in this drill chuck that's got a straight shank on it, and then what I'm going to do is, I don't know if you can see it, oh yeah, here we go. I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to put it in the Jacob's chuck, but I'm not going to tighten it up. I'm just going to put it to the point where I can still turn it. And what this does is it just gives me a handle and a tap guide at the same time. And so I'm just gonna run this in by hand. And so I got a nice handle here, and the rear end of this is idling in the Jacob's chuck. And with these gloves here, they got, you know, I don't have to grab it very hard. And I got a good feel here, you know. It's a small, that's it. And I can spin it out of there. Boom, done. Okay. Okay, so we got some kind of trial fit up here. One of the viewers actually made a good suggestion, and who the heck was it? All Sorts of Interests. I guess he built one of these years ago, and he had to rework his or change his or something to add some support for the guide. And I was just going to put it together and kind of try it, but I started thinking about what he had to say, and it makes sense, and it's logical. So I thought of a easy way to add some guidance to the thing, and I'll show you that now. So I got this bronze roller here, and it's going to go on there like that. And this pin that I just tapped a minute ago, that sits like that. And you probably already figured out what I'm doing here. We'll go ahead and put these, now these are truss head screws. They got kind of a larger head so that the pin won't pass through the hole. And this is just a dry fit up. We'll fix everything else up. Okay, so there are the bronze roller rolls. So what'll happen is this is going to get welded on with this, and this will be able to pass up and down, but this prevents this from moving forward. So there's a moment load when we push down on this, it wants to pivot and come off of the guide. Well, the cylinder resists some of that, but it's probably not too smart to pull on that real hard. I mean, it's not really designed for kind of sideways loading like that, or much anyway. So anyway, we've added this, and we're going to start doing some weld assembly here pretty soon, and getting this thing put together. And we got our little gripper array here in this, and I'm going to put some chamfers on that just to soften that edge a little bit, and that gets welded to the bottom of that, and that's our toe. So what's next here is a cutout in this base plate, so this can actually project all the way down to the floor, so it'll end up being flush with this surface here, and then it'll lift up from that. Anyway, that's the game. Alright, so we prepped some parts here on the toe jack for welding. Did some weld preps here for this section, and we're going to weld this up now. And I got some nice deep chamfers there to fill in. So that's going to get welded like that. And then this guy will remove here and weld to the base plate. I went ahead and notched this. I did that on the bandsaw. There's no real need to mill it. Just needs a clean edge. It's really just clearance for that, and that's how the toe sits in there. So the idea, and now you can really see it, is you slide this under the machine, whatever you're lifting, and you only have to come up a half of an inch. And then when you come up with the jack, with this upper piece here will be connected, and we'll go ahead and weld that on too, and then we'll weld our roller guide on also. So we got a little bit of welding to do now. Probably tack it up and then just kind of give it a little try here, and then break it down and do the heavy duty welding on it, the forever welding. Okay, so that's what's next. Change the camera around and show how I'm going to set this up and maintain 90 degrees here, and some other things. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to use this block here to help us hold this thing at 90 degrees. Oop, I put it together right. So we've got little chamfers on the side, and I went ahead and just machined those because I had a chamfer mill in the machine. So we're going to go like that. So let's see here. Let's scoot this over a little bit. All right, let's nail this thing down first. And this is just a block of coal roll that got machined many moons ago, and proved itself useful over the years. All right. So I'm just using this to reference the end of that so that I can tap it all together and get a nice fit up for tacking it. And you saw, I don't know if you saw it move there, but it moved a little bit, which means those are nice in alignment now too. So I don't have the clamps fully tight, so what I'm doing is just bringing these into nice tight registration with each other. Then I'll put some tension on these guys. So I'll be able to get a tack here, and then I'll move this back and I'll get a tack at the bottom too. So let's get the welder set up. Turn the current up a little bit. Alright, got a couple of good tacks on there. And that's maintaining 90 degrees. Alright, so we're going to have a big fillet on this side. This is the side that really wants to rip loose, so we're going to have a nice generous fillet in there like that, and then we'll weld this all the way around the back side and we'll flush that off nicely. So right now I'm just gonna tack it and get some of the other pieces tacked up so that I can give it a little test drive. Alright, so we're prepping this thing to be put on here, this upper roller guide, and I've done some weld preps on here and here, and this gets attached right flush with the top here, so I'm going to use that to register that surface, and then this is going to go in underneath, and what I want to do is I want to clamp it down now, and what I'm going to do is slide that like that. And I'm just going to bridge this with a little piece here, and then I'll put a clamp here, something like that. And that just keeps it down nice and tight to everything, and clamps the whole mess so I can get a couple of good registration tacks on there. And like that. I'll tack it down here. I can make sure I tack it to the right piece. All right. And I'm just feeling for some of the heat to come out of it. I want to leave it under the clamp while it's hot and moving around, or potentially moving around. That way when I release it, it should stay or be very close, and then I can get a couple more tacks that really lock it three-dimensionally in the right position. Sounds good anyway, right? And that's pretty much ideal right there. It's kind of tight. See if I can make it. So hopefully you can see that turn. Yeah. And that's the idea. I want that in contact with that. So now I'll just turn it over and I'll get a couple of tacks on there. Everything's looking good. Good. So now you can see the guide. I think I'll get a couple little tacks right here. I'm gonna wait. Well, let's see here. I think I can I think we can go ahead with this now. So obviously I want that square with the world. So I think I want a little weld prep here on that corner and that corner. And probably that corner too as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. Okay, I think I'm ready for a tack. Let those cool off for a sec, and then so the trick is going to be to keep this nice and square. This particular one doesn't need a ton of weld on it, so that's nice. That plate, you know, if I put a lot of weld on it, it's gonna bow up right at that point. So we'll just basically the nail the bottom edge down. Yeah, so you can see there's a little space in there, which is great. But I put a weld prep on there, so I'm going to try to tuck that weld down underneath there so I don't have to grind it up and do that. What's interesting is this is pretty square here. Okay, but when I put this on and put this up like this, I see a little gap there. So what that means to me is, now these are machined all the same here. So what that means to me is this jack is a little bit out of square, which doesn't surprise me for a $10 jack. Yeah, it's about 50 thousandths or 60 thousandths, something like that. So, okay, so I guess we gotta think about that for a sec. What that would mean is that we would take this out of square, which I don't really like. The other alternative is to just let this ride up. This cast iron base, I'm gonna put a few little welds on it here to connect it to this base. So I can shim underneath there. Oh, I know what I could do. That might be kind of fun. Although that changes the, you gotta be a little bit careful, because what I was thinking is, I suppose I could chuck this up in the lathe and just face that bottom so that it's perpendicular to that, which would work. But then that changes my height a little bit, although not much. Okay, I'm going to look at doing that. I think it's worth doing, just to get that nice and corrected. So then the last piece. Lower this thing like that. The last piece is this this connector block here. So I'm gonna go and countersink a big hole in it for that, and get this kind of ready to go, and see what's what. Okay, so we're looking pretty good here. Gonna go up like that, and I did the countersink in there. I'm gonna go like that. Weld prep, little weld prep there, and this will have a pretty good sized fillet underneath it also. Maybe even a corner gusset, I don't know, we'll see. See how it behaves with some weight on it. What else? So we got this little problem here with the bottom of the jack and this not being square here. So I'm going to take these off and see if I can get this in the lathe somehow, and maybe face a little off of that bottom so that that's nicer that way. Okay, so I did a little check-in here, and it looks like we're going to get lucky here. I can get that in there pretty far there, and this little, I took the handle off, just comes off with a couple of pins, and it looks like I can get it pretty far up in there, and I think this will work pretty nice here. That feels pretty good. We'll get an indicator on that and see just how bad it is. That's 20 at that spot there. All right, let's do it a little differently here. Okay, let me. Looks like we need to maybe traverse it a little bit. Let's move where this is. Alright, so we'll go in there. Let's go across. Oh yeah, I see a little more there. That's pretty good across that. Well, there's a little bit there to go after. Hopefully that takes care of our little problem there. Let's just do a light facing cut and see what we get. Oh, let's see. This is 500 RPM. I think we'll go a little slower than that. That looks better. Let's do 20,000. Let's see what that gets us. That's pretty good view. I'm not using any lube on this because it's cast iron and it'll just make a gloppy mess if you use lube on it. This stuff seems fairly soft listening to it. Kind of sounds like a shovel going into sand a little bit, that whoosh. So to me that means it's soft. It doesn't have any high-pitched ring to it like a chilled iron or a high-strength cast iron. Well, that's pretty good. I think I'll take another 10 and see what that looks like. I'm going to increase the feed rate here a little bit. There we go. So that's what we're looking for, is a 95% cleanup there. That's pretty good. Okay, so put the jack on, got it all aligned, and got some tacks on the upper part. I think we're ready for it. It's all kind of together now. That's as high as the jack goes. So now some of the commercial ones have some big springs on it to help pull the thing back down. I don't think I'm going to bother with that, but this certainly doesn't want to. Oop, that's kind of warm. I can push it down by hand, that's not bad. Okay, so now I'm going to take it apart a little bit and get some serious weld on some of these things and get that squared away. Put all my loose bits over there. Okay. Well, I got the thing put together, and it goes up and down. It looks pretty good. And I had mentioned earlier that I was thinking about welding this base to here. It really makes a permanent assembly, and you know, this is a fair amount of work here, and this is the easy part of the to replace. You know, if I weld that in, it makes it harder to replace if it dies. So I'm having second thoughts, I guess, about welding that to that. So I could make some little toe clamps or something like that. But then I started thinking about, well, what I really need is I need a brace, you know, that keeps this thing when this, excuse me, of course, nothing's in the mode you want it to be in. So when this is up, the load's here, and it makes this want to kind of roll over that way. So, you know, what's a good way to refrain it from doing that? Well, one thing is you could weld that to that. Well, that puts those welds that are between steel and cast iron in under some pretty serious load, and I would call those dodgy welds. I wouldn't expect a lot from them, and they have the potential to kind of fail catastrophically and just pop, you know, and break out some of the casting. So what I started thinking about, I was like, wow, what if I just added a brace here to the fixed part, here or here, or something like that. And so these become tension rods that take that load back to the edge of this plate, which is effectively the same as attaching that. So this is 3/8 rod, and in tension, that's pretty sturdy stuff. So it's a couple of tons easily. And, you know, I'd put one on each side. Well, I bent up a little, first I bent up a little mock-up out of filler rod, and I said, oh, what if I just looped it around and did that? So, but I was not liking that, so I bent one up out of steel, and it's kind of there. It's kind of there, you know, I'd cut it off, and, but now this is going to be dragging on this face here. I don't really like that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll use this one. I'll just cut this front off, and I'm going to attach it, I think, to this guide roller here, and come down and weld it directly to that. And it clears the handle. It clears the handle on both sides, and then that gives me a direct connection of this, you know, which is right to the base. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm going to stop for now and kind of noodle it a little bit, or marinate, I guess is the right word. Let it marinate in my head a little bit and see if I like it. There's the little gripper screws. You can see those now. That looks pretty good. So it all went together pretty good. I did some of the welding off camera. I mean, you know, watching somebody TIG weld, unless it's Jody on weldingtipsandtricks.com, you know, where he gets in there and gets up right into the weld, you know, it's pretty boring to watch somebody weld. So anyway, I welded that up and kind of off camera, and you can see some of the details in there. So anyway, that's where we are right now. I'm gonna, like I said, marinate on that idea a little bit and see if I like it, and or maybe I think of a better, something better that I like. Then we'll, you know, I think we're down to the wire here. I may just make this particular video a little bit longer and just, you know, kill this thing in this last one here, instead of having another short segment. So anyway, that's where we're at. Alright, so getting ready for a test here. I went ahead and added these braces here, and I think that's going to work pretty good. It's easy to put in, and I can still get the jack out if I want to replace it. So, and then I also added this. Looks a little bit better, and it strengthens this upper joint here. We'll kind of wait and see what happens down here, if it flexes too much or what. So I'm just going to put a little grease on, you know, some of the moving parts here. just because it's a good idea. And this is just kind of white lithium grease, kind of assembly lube here. I'm not going to put that much on. It's just going to kind of pick dirt up, but I just want something on there so it's not bare metal on bare metal. Okay, and then we'll put the bolt in. Okay, call that kind of tight. All right, I think we're ready for a basic test. Well, now I know why they have those big springs on those things, so. All right, here. All right, well. All right, well, let's just do that. Let's put the clamp on there, and we'll put a little load on it and see what it looks like. You guys see that? Oh yeah, let's see that. All right, looking pretty good. You can hear that. That's taking some tension. Let's release that and see what it sounds like. Still sounds the same. Well, let's go lift something with it. Let's see what happens. All right, we're going to try it on this end of the lathe. Okay, we got a good surface under there, and then I'm just going to put this under there as a spacer block. All right, looks like the middle. I'm not going to pick it up very high. Yeah. That foot's off the ground. And that foot's off the ground. Well, that was pretty easy. So this lathe is 2,200 kilograms, something like that. This is the lighter end, but this is only a 4,000-pound jack here. So I don't know how much is on here. I don't want to blow this thing up either, but easily pick that up. Let's, yeah, I can get a little more. Oh yeah, it's big. Well, yeah, it doesn't want to go all the way back down. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Look at it and see what's going on. It was going down before. Maybe. Well, big fat guy can make it go, so it's all right. Okay, toe jack. All right, well that's it for the toe jack. I don't know. I'm not much for painting, so I may or may not paint this thing. But you saw that it lifted the end of the YAM lathe. And all I would ever be doing with this is, you know, kind of picking one corner of something up at a time. Now I'm going to find out I probably need 2 of these things next time I move some machinery, but it'll get a try next time we move something heavy. But it's probably going to sit on the shelf for a while with my other rigging equipment, and then we'll use it when we need it. Anyway, it was a fun little project, and I hope you guys liked it. And I'll take some stills and some close-ups of it and tack it onto the end of the video there, so you guys can get a close-up look at some of my beautiful welds and stuff. So I'm just kidding. Anyway, you know, there it is. If you want to build one, it's not too hard to make. Thanks to all sorts of interest for the suggestion about bracing that. I think that was pretty important, and I thank you for that. So anyway, I think the project came out pretty good. So thanks for watching.